Hi everybody and welcome back to Small Caliber Arms Review. I'm Richard, and today we're going to take a look at a rifle that's been in my arsenal for quite a few years. This is the Rossi Matched Pair. This is a youth rifle. It is a break action, and this one has a 20 gauge barrel on it, and it came with a 22 long rifle barrel on it. It's got fiber optic sights on it. I do have a piece of rail mounted on the top there. I used to have a scope on it at one time. It didn't see a lot of use, but it's a good option for getting a youth involved in hunting, and it's the perfect choice because you don't have to have two separate guns. You've got one with two separate barrels. Now, a long time ago, this used to be available as they called it a trifecta. It had three barrels on it. I believe it was a 243, and you could get it with a 20 gauge or a 410 and a 22, and it was also available with four barrels. I think it was a 243, a 12 gauge maybe, a 20 gauge. There was a bunch of different combinations. But anyways, let's take this thing apart and we'll show you a little closer on how you swap the barrels out. Here is the Rossi Matched Pair. This one is a 20 gauge, 3-inch modified. It's made in Brazil by Taurus, Brastec Incorporated, Miami, Florida. But this one is made in Brazil. Now, to take this one apart, all you got to do is just unscrew your front sling swivel on there. You just pull it right off the front there, and then go ahead and open up the break action. The barrel comes right off. Put your 22 barrel on there. All you got to do is hook it in there just like you would any break action type rifle. Put your fore end back on there, push it down, and your swivel stud on the front there screws right back into that lug that's on the barrel. Give it a little snugging and you're good to go. Now, it's a compact little rifle. It's kind of heavy when you got the 22 barrel on there because there's a massive chunk of steel right there at the front of it, and that trust me, that'll handle any kind of round you want to put in there, 22 round anyways. And then to shoot it, all you got to do is you got your safety selector on the side there, and that is a hammer block safety on there. But to fire it, you just pull the hammer back, pull the trigger, and it's ready to go. Now, this is the 22 barrel on here, so you don't want to dry fire it. Again, the safety's on there. And on the back of it there's the little screw that Taurus puts on a lot of their guns where you can lock that down. And the keys, I think, are pretty much interchangeable between them. But it's a good little option. Like I said, I put a piece of rail on this one here to put an optic on it. It does have pretty decent fiber optic sights on the front of it there. It's got the little two bars in the back there and one on the front there, and they gather a pretty good bit of light, so they're easy to see. It's just a nice little rifle. It is all plastic stock, and it's kind of a hollow plastic stock too, so it kind of gives you that a lot of noise anyways. The front piece is pretty solid, doesn't make a lot of noise on there. And like I said, this one is available with a 20 gauge and the 22. Now, if you go on their website today, they no longer have this matched pair. They've redesigned the stock on it, and the stock is really pretty nice on the newer ones, but it's only available in a 410 and a 22 as far as I can tell. I've not found anything available today with a 20 gauge barrel on it. But we're going to grab a couple shells, a couple shotgun shells, and a couple shotgun shells on a couple 22 rounds, and we'll get this thing out on the range and give it a few tries. All right, it's another cool breezy day out here on the range, and since I've already got the 22 barrel on there, we're going to go ahead and put a round of, I got some Winchester 22 long rifle, 40 grain, 1255 feet per second. We're going to go ahead and put one of these in there, give it a shot at the 100-yard target and see how it does. Again, it's a single shot, push it in there, close it up, cock the hammer, you're ready to go. Take the round out, just open it up. You've got an ejector on there. Sometimes it'll spit them out, sometimes you just got to reach up there and pull it out. It's an easy shooting gun. Like I said, this thing has a massive chunk of steel here on the end of the barrel, the chamber there, so it can really handle it. It's got some weight to it, and with the 22 is not a hard hitting round anyways, so the recoil is nothing. And since this is a youth rifle, it's a good choice to get someone started on. especially if they're scared of the recoil. This one doesn't have any hardly. Not the smoothest or lightest trigger in the world, but it's not a bad trigger at all. It's a youth gun. It's a good shooting gun. It's not a precision gun. This is to get out there and do a little bit of hunting, you know, take on some small game. And if you're going to use the 20 gauge barrel on here, you can use it for deer hunting in Ohio, as long as you use a shell that has a single projectile in it. So you're going to use a slug. Now it's a smooth bore barrel for the shotgun, so you can get a rifled slug. It actually has the rifling on the slug to give it that stability, give it that spin as it's going out of the end of the barrel there. Let's go ahead and swap these barrels out. And I did bring some Winchester 20 gauges or 2 3/4, 7.5 shots, 7/8 of an ounce. And we'll give it a few shots of this. Now it's going to kick a little bit more. All right, I have a feeling I'm going to do a little better with the clay pigeons this time than I did with the Mossberg 500, but let's give it a try and see how it does. You can see it's got a pretty good kick. So grab a hold of it tightly, like I did not do. It did come out of my hand on the end there a little bit, but it's got a pretty good kick to it because there's no weight to it. It is a youth rifle, so a 20 gauge is a pretty good size for a youth to go for. A 410 is going to be a lot lighter, and like I said, Rossi discontinued this a few years ago. Now they offer a newer one, redesigned stock on it, but it's only available in 22 and 410. At least as far as I can tell, I haven't seen anything different in their online catalog. Told you I'd do better. All right, something I did discover when holding this, when I had my grip on there, I had my hand up here right on the swivel stud there, and when it kicked, I got me a little injury there. Peeled the skin off my finger there some. All right, it's pretty devastating to a water bottle and pretty devastating to some clay pigeons. At least from me, if they're not moving, it's pretty devastating. But that's the Rossi Matched Pair. It is a youth combo, has a 12 gauge and a 22 barrel with it. It is a little light on the 20 gauge side, I think. The 410 is probably going to be a lot better. But like I said, it's got quite a bit of kick to it with the 20 gauge. And, you know, it does a little damage to your finger if you got your finger right up against the swivel stud on there. Not a bad gun. It's no longer available. Maybe that's part of the reason why. Who knows? But it's a good gun. If you can find them, they're available. The new ones are only available in 410 and 22. The older ones, like I said, you could get them with up to 4 barrels. And they come in a little nylon pouch that has a spot in there for the stock, and it has spots in there for additional barrels too. Now when you buy these, they are the reason they call them a matched pair is because that barrel is fit to that receiver, so that, you know, it fires reliably and there's no issues with it. They have to kind of hand fit them, I guess, to get everything to work properly. And they're still out there. You can find them used. You can buy the new ones right now. The new ones have a redesigned stock on it. Actually has storage in the stock for additional rounds. But check them out if you could. Anyways, if you could also hit this button up here to check out some of my other videos. Hit this button right here to subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review. Here is the perfect opportunity to use MyMedic.